Well, Fanalysis combines the analytics used in fantasy football with the metrics of sports betting to find you the sharpest angles. We're joined by a sports handicapper, Geoff Sheasby, and a sports investment analyst from SportsGrid, Jared Smith. Guys, we're talking about the over-under, and this line has moved from 57.5 to 56. Where is it right now? Where we are? 55.5 right now. So does that 2-point movement change your thinking? We'll start with Jared on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the majority of bets are going to be on the over because this is, again, the Super Bowl is the most publicly bet game of the year. You're having the sharpest lines of the year, and it's no surprise that people like points. That is the public side. But this line is moving against that public bet, and I think that is very telling. And when you break down the guts of this game, Steve, it makes sense. These two teams played back in Week 12. The game stayed well under 55.5. The final was 27-24, and it was a pretty high-flying game. Tyreek Hill had a huge game. Tom Brady and the Bucs came back late and scored a bunch of points in the second half. So we saw a significant amount of yards and movement of the football on both sides, yet the game still stayed under. The Super Bowl, you're going to have a little bit more of a boost because you're going to have more people betting the over, but yet that line still creeps a little bit south. I think that tells you the sharper side this week is certainly the under.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask you, Geoff, is how do you read that? Because that goes opposite of the way that most bets are actually played. If you're going to be putting a lot of money on the under, then the line usually goes down. But if all of the tickets are on the over and the line continues to go south, how are you reading that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a merger. I don't love the total. To your point and to Jared's point, we're seeing some great reverse line movement there. Tickets on one side, money on the other makes sense. Often we follow the money and you're on the sharp side and those people cover. But, I think about that first matchup at 51 points, 27-24. The total on that game was also 56. So I think Vegas not moving the opening line, actually moving it up from 56 to 57, I think shows strength towards the over. Could that be a little inflated because of the public? Absolutely. But nonetheless, I think the opening line, and even where it is at 55, not moving from the first game that went well under by 4.5 points, I think it was an initial read for me to go over. But the fact that it's probably inflated by all the casuals betting this game, nobody's betting for incompletions and interceptions, right? We're looking for another Tyreek Hill 260-yard game, way more exciting. I think it's a no play for me. The sharp money's on the under. I think there's a narrative for the over. And when there's that much noise, I'm just going to bet the Bucs +3.
Okay, so we do expect sharp money to be coming in last minute for this. Do you expect that line to move? And if it does, are you better off locking in right now or chancing it going one way or the other?
I do feel like it'll probably stay right around 55. I'd be shocked if it continued to sink because, we have seen it off that opening number. Geoff makes a very good point. That is a very bullish move to the over when you have a game that plays out a few weeks ago. It stays under. The total was high, and they don't move it off of that original opening number from the Week 12 game. Usually, in a normal scenario, if this was Week 15, I would absolutely be looking to the over. But again, we've talked about the Mahomes tax before, Steve. You're not only paying the Mahomes tax in this game, you're paying the Brady tax as well, where the offenses are really going to be under the spotlight and under the microscope. That's why I think you are getting some inherent value in the under, even if that opening number was a little more bullish towards the over. I think, to me, when you look at two quarterbacks like this that are clearly going to get a lion's share of the bets, I think the books are almost forcing you to bet the under because they know they're going to get a lot of overaction regardless of what they set the number at.
Geoff, I'm kind of curious. Would you consider a prop play or a parlay play, if you're telling yourself the story of this game and the game bet is the under, would you consider a prop play with one of the players scoring a touchdown and combining that with the over-under?
I still don't love it on the over-under. I just don't feel like I have a good feel on it. I love the parlay aspect here. It's the Super Bowl. Have some fun. Pull some beer money out of your wallet and see what happens. But if anything, I'd look for. I guess you can't do same game teasers. Maybe FanDuel has that. Maybe not. That 6 points here would obviously be huge. But parlays, have some fun. Again, I think the over is a way more fun bet, but the sharp money's coming in on the under. So what are you going to do? No play for me there, regardless of how many ways I cut it up or how many parlays I get on there. Again, I prefer the side.
I'm just trying to find different ways. Jared, does that interest you at all, combining the two?
Well, I think what does interest me is I like to do these touchdown parlays, which are interesting. I like to find a couple of long shots. Usually I'll go down the list of touchdowns and I'll pick out 4 or 5 guys that are not the favorites, not the Kelseys and the Hills, and I'll kind of pair a bunch of them together, because if one of them hits, and again, you know, Jeff's right, this is beer money. The Super Bowl should have an element of fun to your gambling. You know, I don't think you should be shoving all your chips in the middle on a side or a total, because I think the lines are so sharp, you're not going to find that significant of an edge. The people that make their biggest bets of the year on the Super Bowl, that to me is a struggle. I do like the fun element to kind of betting some of the props. I know we talked about that last week, but I do think there is a slice of value to some of those off the beaten path guys. How about Patrick Mahomes to score a rushing touchdown, which is almost 3-1? That happened in last year's game. And again, that's not, that goes against what the narrative is. That goes against paying up for a guy like Kelce or Hill to score a touchdown, and you're getting a significant return there. So if you don't like to play the total because you do think the number's sharp, and it is, but you want to play some fun props that can include some points, I think the touchdown props are certainly a fun way to do that. But again, the beer money element to this should certainly be stressed. It's the Super Bowl. Have some fun. Don't go crazy. Protect some of the profits that we've hopefully given to you over the course of the Fanalysis season.
Well, I will say you guys have certainly made it fun here on Fanalysis this year, and this is our final show of the season, so I guess we'll be seeing you once the NFL season begins next year. Jared, Geoff, thank you guys so much, and that is a look at how they see the over-under. Make sure you check out our other segment on the spread. For Jared Smith of SportsGrid and Geoff Sheasby, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.